to video number 2. I thought in this video I'm going to tell you about the strawberry scones I made recently, because I did say that I was going to tell you how I made them. For the recipe for strawberry scones, it actually came from this book, The Cook's Corner Tasty Brunch Recipes. I got this book from The Works, which is a discount store in the UK where you can get books at like discount prices, and this is actually part of a series, the Cook's Corner series. And so strawberry scones. Now it makes 8, and I made these in a support session a couple of weeks ago, and they turned out really, really well. So the recipe then, so what you need to make these is 350 grams of self-raising flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, a pinch of salt. I didn't actually use any salt. It's not something, I don't actually really buy salt. I mean, I suppose if ever I decided to make some bread, I would need to get some, because usually you do need salt when you're making bread, but I didn't really think, it's not something I really buy or use much, so I didn't use that. I didn't see a need. I think it's probably mainly for flavour in terms of scones, but you don't really need it. 85 grams, 3 ounces of unsalted butter, 50 grams of caster sugar. Now, I actually think 50 grams is probably a little bit excessive. I mean, you don't technically speaking need to add sugar to scones. So I think you could probably get away with adding a lot less than that. You possibly could even skip the sugar altogether if you wanted to be particularly healthy. 175 mils, that's 6 fluid ounces of milk. 100 grams of strawberries, finely chopped, an egg beaten, and jam, jelly, cream and butter to serve. I use strawberry jam. So, this is what you do. So you preheat the oven to 220 degrees. That's 200 degrees fan if you've got a fan oven. I used a fan oven because I do have a fan oven as well, and I think things often cook better in a fan oven and are less likely to burn. Put a baking tray into heat. So you mix the flour, baking powder and salt if you're using salt in a large mixing bowl. You cut the butter into cubes and rub in with your fingers until the mixture resembles breadcrumbs. You then stir through the caster sugar. Then, you make a well in the centre of the dry ingredients and pour in the milk. You mix through with a knife and add the chopped strawberries before turning out onto a floured surface. At this juncture, I have to mention that I had to add quite a lot of flour when I was kneading the dough, because the next step is to lightly knead the dough with your hands. It says adding a touch more flour if it is too sticky. It can be quite hard to judge how much flour to use when you're kneading on a floured surface. So it's a case of I would say add a little bit of flour, see how you get on, and then if you need more, likely it is you will, add more flour instead of adding loads of flour at the beginning, because then you might end up adding too much flour. It's better to add too little and then to keep on adding a bit more if you need it, I would say. So lightly knead the dough with your hands, adding a touch more flour if it is too sticky on the floured surface. After kneading the dough for 5 to 10 minutes, flatten it to a depth of approximately 4 centimetres. And then, using a 5 centimetre cutter, cut out 4 scones before reforming the dough, and cutting a further 4. Carefully place each one onto a hot baking tray that you've preheated in the oven before brushing the tops with a beaten egg. Bake in the oven for 10 minutes until risen and golden on top. Now obviously all ovens vary. My oven's a very effective oven, so I think it took slightly less than 10 minutes. Other ovens might take slightly more. But get done when they're risen and the top is golden brown. And then you serve warm with jam, cream and butter. I used clotted cream and jam. But these scones do freeze very well, so I had some fresh, but I let the others cool, and then I put those in the freezer. And I also had some with butter as well, and I reheated them under a slightly warm grill, and had those with butter later on. So that was really very nice. So I recommend them. The other thing I've tried recently is this rye bread here. Do any of you like rye bread? Do let me know. It's often rye bread is often seen to be something that you either love or hate. As a kid, I absolutely hated it, but as an adult, I do actually quite like it. This company here, the one I got, is organic sunflower seed bread, rye and sunflower seeds. It's baked in Germany and it's the Schneider Brot company. And it's a very healthy make because all it contains is whole rye meal, whole rye flour, water, 5% sunflower seeds, sea salt and yeast. That's it. No additives, no messing around. That's it. Bare necessities. It's nice, particularly toasted. And what I did was I toasted it and then I hard boiled an egg. And I put egg on top with some sliced avocado and some radishes. This recipe came from, I think it was rhubarbarian.com. I'll see if I can find a recipe link and post it down below so you can check that website out as well because it's a particularly good recipe. That's what gave me the inspiration for this recipe, was that particular site, but I'll post it down below so you can go check it out. And the other thing is that I've also recently discovered that I do actually quite like radishes, and they were another thing I used not to like. So this just shows how taste can change through the years, and that things you think you don't like, you might actually like, and it's always worthwhile retrying something that you think you don't like, just to see if your tastes have changed, because you might be pleasantly surprised. Conversely, there were foods I used to like when I was a kid that now I really don't like at all, mainly sweet things, because I don't have such a sweet tooth as I used to have. So, as I say, tastes do change. So yeah, so let me know if you like rye bread at all. I'll be interested to know. So I hope those recipes have maybe inspired you in some way. Food is, obviously cooking is very important to me. It's one of my major special interests, lifelong. It's been a lifelong interest. It's the one interest I'd say that, I've had practically since the cradle, is food. It really has been a major guiding light in my life, in different ways, different shapes and forms through the years, constantly evolving. As a kid, it was more of a case that I would constantly talk about food. What are we having for dinner? What are we having for lunch? Pork pie, quiche, potatoes, tuna. I had this real thing about those foods in particular. I would constantly talk about them to death. All my toys I had were all food based. One of the toys I remember was it was a toy burger with a little toy ketchup bottle and a toy mustard bottle and a tiny, this was all in miniature, a tiny little pair of tongs. So you could make this little burger, layer it up and then pretend to squeeze the ketchup and stuff on it. I love that. And the other thing I had when I was a kid was a toy fried egg. Which really did actually look quite lifelike. You put it on a plate and it would stick to the plate. And I got that for one of my birthdays. I was really excited when I got that. Probably one of the most exciting presents of all, however, was this bag of toy food, toy plastic food that I got for my 8th birthday. It contained toy bananas, toy oranges, toy fruit pies, fruit tarts, toy chocolate cake, and it came in a basket as well. And I also received basically miniature packets, like packets you can get at supermarkets, but like little toy ones, tiny little cardboard toy miniature cartons of the things you can get in supermarkets. Oh, I love that. That's one of the best presents I received as well. It was all food based really. I used to pretend, one of the ways my mum used to help me to learn how to write and things like that was to write pretend menus. Like I was pretending like I was a cafe owner and I'd write menus and she'd get me and I'd write this out, and we used to do this on Sundays, and then when we went out walking, and we always went out a bit earlier than my dad. Again, we met my dad at a cafe out in the countryside because we went walking on every Sunday. I'd have to read this out to my dad, what I'd written in the morning with my mum. But yeah, it was pretend menus, and that was great because that got me helped me to learn how to write and stuff. But again, that was just a way my mum kind of utilised my special interest, which I think is quite cool. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now. But yeah, you can see how much obviously food has been a major thing all through my life. Okay, now I haven't decided yet what I'm going to talk about next week because it all depends, and it all depends, what I can prepare and other things going on. So I'm afraid I can't really tell you definitively what I'm going to be talking about next week, but I hope whatever I talk about, I hope will be of interest to you. So I really am going to shut up now, and I look forward to speaking to you again next week. So thank you for watching.